Hello, class, and welcome to my um, presentation of For White Folks Who Teach in the Hood and the Rest of You All Too by Christopher Emden. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get started. So, this is, okay, so the book club review presented by David R. Armstrong. Now, this is my PowerPoint presentation. We actually did uh, an actual book club review. So, I'm going to share that YouTube clip as well. But I'm going to run through this PowerPoint presentation explaining a few things. These are my participants with the exception of Mr. Dimitri Muhammad. Dimitri Muhammad is my brother and he was not um, able to attend that night. But at any rate, we had to keep it moving. Okay, so here are the big book review participants. This is Curtis Cotton Jr. He served in public education for 15 years as a teacher, a bus driver, a coach, and wellness coordinator. This is Lakeisha T. Cotton. She's the minister of the Gulf Coast Gospel Music Awards. She's a minister, founder of the Gulf Coast Gospel Music Awards, singer, songwriter, recording artist, and radio personality. Samuel Wade has served in public education for 10 years as a teacher and central office personnel. Audrey J. Stevenson served as a junior high Sunday school teacher for 16 years, praise dance coordinator, and other teaching roles for more than 30 years. She's also a licensed elder in the church, and also she works in the central office as well. She also has been in office management at Mississippi Valley State University for almost maybe 20, 25 years. And of course, there's me. I've served in public education for 15 years as a general music teacher and a choir director in K 12. I chose all these people because they're my friends, and they were going to read the book and give, honest feedback. They're some of the most cutthroat and honest people. And so we bounced around in the book. What this PowerPoint is more so of an outline because we really bounced around on during the book club meeting, and they were available to do it on that night. That was the only time that we were able to get it together. So of course, Dr. Christopher Emden. This is his picture. And I'm just going to give you a little rundown. You guys can kind of read it or watch it at your leisure. But Dr. Christopher Emden is an associate professor at Teachers College and Columbia University, where he also serves as director of the Science Education Program and associate director of the Institute for Urban and Minority Education. Dr. Emden holds a PhD in urban education with a concentration in mathematics, science, and technology, master's degrees in both natural sciences and education administration, and bachelor's degrees in physical anthropology, biology, and chemistry. He's the creator of the Hip Hop Edge social media movement and a much sought after public speaker on a number of topics that includes hip hop education, STEM education, politics, race, class, diversity, and youth empowerment. He is also an advisor to numerous international organizations, school districts, and schools. He's the author of the award-winning book Urban Science Education for the Hip Hop Generation and the New York Times bestseller for white folks who teach in the hood and the rest of y'all too. All right, chapter one, camaraderie. Understanding these are just points that I saw that were important to kind of sum up the chapter. Of course, these chapters were like some was like maybe 10 pages long, and that one just front and back. Some were 15 to 20 pages long. So this is what I thought that was important. Camaraderie. When you think of a comrade, somebody that's your friend. So you get together for white people that don't understand urban people, understanding the facts that as educators, we are not to size up students on the basis of what we think. and we think that they should, and how we think, I'm sorry, that's a typo, that they should be and carry themselves to be successful. Urban students are expected to leave their day-to-day experiences at the door and assimilate into the culture of the school. Um, Preparing educators to appreciate the mental spaces occupied by their students is necessary for success of the educator. Of course, reality pedagogy. Now that's on the front of the book. Reality pedagogy and urban education. The reality pedagogy, what I thought about was, is the reality of you teaching urban students, whether they're black, white, Hispanic, Indian, or African. If they're in the hood, they were raised in the hood, they're urban. They're in the city, they have to walk, ride, catch public transit. Those are urban students. So they have a different type of understanding, a different experience. So that's what that means to be have a reality pedagogy. Reality pedagogy gives educators mechanisms to provide proper ways to teach urban students. I teach currently in an urban situation. All right, chapter 2, courage, teaching without fear. And this is something because I have in my 15 years of experience, um, for the most part, I've taught urban. I've taught my people. I'm African American. I'm black. I've taught mostly predominantly black students. That's where I get my edge from teaching black students. I probably would not sit well. I didn't sit well with um, Caucasian um, administrators because they don't understand how to equate having an edge as an African American teacher. And so um, I teach without fear because I had to learn it quickly. And if you don't, the students will smell, I say smell blood, and they will destroy your, classroom. So you had to, this is the something that you have to, the teachers have to not do when they see, when they see urban students, identify those students who are good and bad on the basis of having prior predispositions, those bad years or those bad experiences, you come to school the next year without a fresh perspective. These kids are never be nothing. Those kids are always acting. That's what that is, and you never give them a chance. And that's really kind of overarching theme of the entire book. Don't smile till November. Now, really, to be honest with you, I believe in that, but I have a kind of like an edge. So I smile whenever I get ready. The kids just have to do what I ask them to do. That's my expectation. But what he was saying was be mean to try to establish some type of authority. Teaching to the test, children understand and children know that or feel like this is not something that I understand. This is something that somebody's giving me. I can't equate and understand it because it's not something based on my culture that I understand or how to apply it. Teaching students from your prior bad experiences without giving each student a fresh start. This is what I said earlier. Teaching without fear. Going in, and even though you may say, or teachers may have said, "Oh girl," or "Oh man, he was in your class last year. He cut up with Miss So and So. She not here," or "He pushed Mr. So and So into the lockers." Stuff like that. So you have to give kids a fresh start. We don't know what they're going through at home. We don't know what they bring to school. Some kids have not eaten, so we have to not have predispositions about students because of how they dress or what they look like. Sometimes we just need to get on their level, not losing our professionalism, but kind of merge our way into their culture by way of understanding it. This was a favorite chapter of all of my participants. Church, Pentecostal pedagogy, and because most of all of us are and that did read the book are African American. I can kind of paraphrase the lessons from the Black church using the command of the pastor, response of the congregation, and the engagement excuse me, of the congregation as a means to deliver instruction and create great classroom experiences for the students. What that means is that when the pastor say, I don't hear anybody, because I'm a minister, and I would say, I can't hear anybody saying anything, and they would say that, pastor, say that, brother minister, or something like that. Or the choir giving a great song or inspirational hymn to wake up. That's your bell ringer. That is your anticipatory set. Those are the things that you need. That's what the pastor does. Because when you come to church and you're a minister or you're the praise and worship leader, you have to lead the people into praise and worship. You lead the people, you pull them in, and they follow you. That's what the teacher does. And within this chapter, this Emden was talking about this young man that, which you will hear in our book club, he was getting everything, but his lesson plans were pristine, but he was not effective. The teacher that seemed like his class was out of order was the most effective teacher. Why? Because he understood how to reach the urban students. Teaching urban student infusing humor, story, and instruction, allowing for the space for release of tensions and frustration and welcoming the voices of the people. You are sharing information with or providing a service to these. To these are tools used, excuse me, in the pulpit and the barbershop chair. When you go into the barbershop or beauty shop, you all know you're going to learn something different every day. Whether it's talking about couponing, learning how to fix your car, you're going to meet some different people. That's what happens in an urban community or a neo indigenous community. And you as the educator have to make the customer comfortable to be in your store. You're the teacher and you're selling something. So you have to learn the urban talk. That's what the overarching idea of is this, to learn your student, to learn what they desire, to learn what they need, and be effective as an educator, not with the status quo or the norm. So this was a great chapter. So chapter 4, cogenerative dialogues. So anytime you talk about dialogues, you're talking about talking to each other. So cogenerative, finding an approach to teach urban students while addressing their needs. A rap cipher, coded mode of communication and dialogue that neo-indigenous, and if you read the book, excuse me, y'all, I'm sorry. If you read the book, neo-indigenous is another word for black or urban. Engage on the street corners, how they get together and just come up with a boo, booch, boo, booch. My name is so and so, that rap thing. And so there's a unspoken rule to it. Understanding the rules of engagement is necessary for teachers. Educating the neo-indigenous, the cipher transcends place and creates spaces, appropriate context for learning. Coaching, conversations between the student and the teacher with the goal of co-creating and generating plans of action for improving classroom. I would say classroom management because that's what coaching really is. Um, in this book, not saying anything about it, but anybody that has taught with the years that I have and any other teacher, really on the basis of you of coaching is another way of getting the students to buy into the experience of your class. Uh, if everybody did a coaching, in my opinion, I don't think that it would work because I think that the students would get the gist of how to manipulate through it. So we would have to consistently rechange the coaching aspect of it. But the coaching, you get together and you get those students to be, I would say, a student council of your class, for lack of better words, or the main students to kind of tell you what's going on, to help you, especially in the urban set, dealing with African Americans. And when you say urban, inner city kids, or those kids that are impoverished, but you don't teach them as they are impoverished. You have to know how to deal with them because they're going to come to school high. They're going to come to school hungry. They're gonna come to school with dirty clothes on. They're gonna come to school and mamas and daddies have cooked them out, or they've got to fight in the morning. That's an urban thing. So that's what a coaching does. They may be mad or head on the table. You can't start hollering and fussing at them, but your coaching would say, "Hey, Mr. Armstrong," or "Hey, Miss Jackson, um, don't bother her. She went through something or he did something." Okay, the coaching, and it's a dialogue between you and the student, so you have a better understanding. It gives the student a voice to ensure foundational interest in the learning and what they are learning. So, co-teaching, this is something that I know as an educator that I probably would have not ever done, and I know some other educators would have not done it as well. But it is just saying that you using the coaching bow down your pride and allow the student to help you deliver instruction, especially to urban students. If you don't know the lingo, especially for according to the book, for white people who teach in the hood. Now for the rest of us too. Now some of us we kind of get it. We know the lingo we're learning, the lingo, because this is our culture. But for white people that teach in the hood, you need that help of that student that is, and with the coaching you are you just don't get any student. You choose or handpick those students that you think will be beneficial to the learning process in your class. And you'll make them a co-teacher. Incorporating your students as co-teachers, not feeling a certain way when the student can get information across to their peers better than you. Creating an environment where the teacher becomes the student. You're learning so that the next time you're having an issue, you'll learn. Or you have that relationship, excuse me, y'all, that relationship with your student. Okay, cosmopolitanism. I have to say that right. Fostering socio-emotional connections in the classroom with the goal of building students' sense of responsibility to each other and the learning environment. Focusing on students getting an opportunity to feel their value and respected within the classroom, that they're involved in every aspect of the classroom. Cosmo in reality pedagogy focuses on developing deep connections that supersede our ethnic backgrounds and cultures. So that means that when the students come in, I'm teaching at a predominantly Hispanic, and I ask the kids, "Do you say Mexican or Hispanic?" And so they say Hispanic because that's the overarching thing. They may be different. They may be from different areas, but don't say the Mexicans because that's racial. Just like saying the N word to us. We're black. So you say Hispanic. Um, and so you have Indian. You have um Asian. So what a cosmopolitanism class does is it makes the student feel like, give them a buy-in, and goes without saying with the co-teacher. It gives them a buy-in past the color of their skin or their nationality. Building a family within the cosmopolitan classroom, understanding the modes of communication, the handshake. He was talking about gang members, and they handshake go by 5 minutes. And creating a classroom name. When I taught in Greenville, Mississippi, that we had names. The hallways had names as well. Now, context and content. You have to understand the lingo, the dialect, so you can understand how to deliver instruction. So you want to take the content out of context. Share cultural knowledge, the similar backgrounds. Nonverbal communication helps students from similar backgrounds get through the classroom situations. If they're bored or something's not right, they can look at each other or roll their eyes, and because they have the same background, they know what's going on. But if you don't know, that you are boring the children out of their minds. So you got to understand the context of it. Don't write them up. They're just bored. You need to change it up. throw something in there, throw a monkey wrench in your instructions. Creating a network, incorporating experiences with students, like playing basketball with them, so that they can see your humanness and not feeling that you are not approachable. He was talking about how he stopped playing with his co-worker and went outside, played basketball, so that the kids, he was talking to them. So he had created um a little, relationship builder. And kids love that. Kids love to see you doing stuff in their sector, in their area. I still have kids now that love to see me on Facebook shouting them out, their clothing lines, or, they having a party, and I'll say, okay, make your money, stuff like that, be careful and all that. They'll say, yes, sir, stuff like that. So what he said was he went back the next time, and the small group of students grew to a bigger group of students. So and then it also grew to him meeting their parents, going to parent functions, going to different things. And I can understand that because I taught choir in Greenville, Mississippi, at Greenville High School, and I knew parents. I was invited to the cookout out of the time. They bought me food. We got Christmas presents and just different things like that. Once you meet those people and they trust you, they want their other parents, family members, and they know that um you have a love for what you're doing for the student, they'll buy into what you're doing. So anytime that you may feel like you're having a problem, you have a relationship with the child's parent, and that goes well for you. So 3 steps: being in the same spaces with the neo-indigenous, engaging with the context, understanding what they're saying, making connections between out of school context and classroom teaching. Understand that context affects content. Students are now engaged because the context is infused into instruction, something that they understand. Even though you're teaching about the Pythagorean theorem, or you're teaching about the something in science, something that like this is not what they want to do, or African American history, or me teaching music theory. But when I bring it into something that they understand, that's the context. That's the content. And so I'm using the context to bridge it together. Okay. So competition, this is something that I do all of the time. And I'm sure other teachers do it, seasoned teachers. A rap battle. Now, this was right up my alley as a music teacher. When I'm at a new school. And so when I first started teaching, I said, okay, we're going to have a talent show in the classroom. What that does is it breaks the ice. It gets the kids to trust you as a teacher, and it gets the students to not be afraid to build up their confidence. So the rap battle incorporating the culture. Rapping is a part of urban culture, and it's hidden rules. Okay, you go on next. Okay, what we gonna rap about? Okay, you do this and you do this. Okay, next. And so it just kind of flows. So then you take that culture and incorporate learning the content, because you put it in that rap battle. The rap battle is the context, okay, the way that they understand it. Creating a space where talented students can become seen and validated as an expert. As an expert, even though you're not giving away your authority, somebody in there say, like I'm teaching guitar. I don't know how to play the guitar, but I got a couple of Hispanic students that's what they do. So they are my assistants. They're helping me. There's their competition. And then battle. Bringing attention to transforming teaching, learning, and engagement. He was doing it in science. But it's an initiative focused on utilizing the power of hip hop music and battle culture to introduce students to different disciplines. So when you do that, you change their mind so that they want to come to class every day. They want to be engaging in the learning process. Okay, clean. Changing the world as we dress it. Y'all know the first week of school, when I was in school, I graduated in 98. We got new shoes every year. You want to press your pants clean. You want to smell good. Hair got to be clean and cut. Girls go and get their hair perm. That is culture. And I remember in this chapter, if I'm not mixing them up, one of his coworkers was upset because she had a student that just acted a fool, but his shoes and his hat matched. And his sister, she was matched from head to toe. She had barrettes and everything that matched. And so he told her, well, maybe you need to get some new shoes. Not knowing that they had already been slaying her or joning on her by her shoes. And so what he meant was getting the new shoes is something that they could see or relate to. That breaks down the barriers as an educator who teaches in the hood. So would and then get a jacket or get something that's urban. I grew up and watched during the 90s with Little Kim and Foxy and Biggie, Tupac, and all of those things. I was a young person then. I'm still young now, but So, I love urban wear. So urban wear is a style, a hip hop style, but that gives them it's different now. But that gives them a buy-in to what you're teaching and they feel like they trust you and they'll listen to you. Walking in the student's shoes. That was changing your style. Creating comfortable classroom spaces. Now we do this as educators. Decorate your room, make it look good. And they were talking about in this chapter, graffiti on the walls. Graffiti, not dirty graffiti, but give the kids a chance to do a chalkboard wall. Get chalk paint and let them draw or something. You may feel like they're not listening, but they hear you. And it is a unconscious listening that they're doing. Code switching, and this is something that we have to do. Now, this is a thing that I know to do when I'm around or in certain circles. I can be around, and I'm just gonna say it. I can be around African Americans, and we can talk and break verbs, or chill and do what we need to do, and everybody understand. Like I can say, man, I was trying to. I be going down there, But when we're around other cultures, we would say, well, I went, and you have to code switch. You have to know how to be in other situations in other circles, not demeaning who you are, but understanding the purpose of learning how to still be yourself and be in those situations where you need to be, and switch it up. Okay. For an example, my coworkers may see me professionally dressed, but we may run into each other at Walmart on the weekend, and I may have baggy jeans on or baggy shirt or a baseball cap. Now that's not me, but I'm just saying, that's a code switch. They may see me at a basketball game and I'm Jordans and baggy jeans or something like that, something different. So that's what a code switch is. And like being like white, he was talking about how um in the private schools they make the children feel like being like white or being white is the thing to do, is better than who you are. No, you can adopt what you may feel that white people do to get what you need while still being yourself. That's what code switching is. Curation and computing, allowing students to validate their experience with video. Um, he at this the using the coaching, he wouldn't listen to his kids about his teacher strategies. He was hollering at the kid. So the child used the video. The video validated her point. Um, Understanding social media. Now, mind you, some school districts are not going to use let social media be what they're going to use in class. Some schools are allow it, some schools don't. But what he was saying was his hip hop, using hip hop and social media, Twitter, all of those things to engage in the discussion. Now, when you teach an urban where you got to be careful, like I said, I've been teaching for about 15 years, so I understand his point behind using social media. But on the same time, at the same time, you got to be careful because you may lose your job. There's a lot of rules and laws, and even though this is something that's good, like a meta law, exchanging, just like a cogent, exchanging communication between teachers and students on paper. And the difference is the cogent is just for students, but the meta law can be through all of the students. The conclusion for white people who teach in the hood and the rest of us, this is a great tool to awaken the creativity that is teaching. This is a great tool to keep seasoned teachers on their toes while refreshing our zeal and drive on a daily basis. This reminds us how pertinent it is to listen and incorporate our students into the learning process. This also reminds us to incorporate and progress with the times and not staying stagnant, but simply growing as we're going. This is the citation. So I hope you all enjoyed my little presentation. I know it went over. I'm going to put it on YouTube along with the PowerPoint submitted. And yes, I hope that this is something that you guys enjoy. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask me and I will respond. Um, and that is it. See y'all in the discussion. Peace out, y'all.